He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
We are back. Angry Mortgage is on the air. There was actually... and we're back with Sasha.
I'm back, baby.
You recovered from your... what'd you have? What would you say you had?
I mean, probably just a flu, honestly, but who knows these days?
You couldn't
There's so
talk.
many things
You couldn't
going on.
talk, right?
Oh, I was pretty rough. Yeah, I was coughing. So Ron always shows up sick. And so I tried to tough it out for a
Don't
day.
go through the bullshit that I gave it to you. Nobody's buying into
No.
that.
I didn't say you gave it to me. I just say I tried to tough it out for a day. I was talking for like 12 hours on the phones, and by the end of the day, I was talking like this.
Yeah, you
Just
sounded
nothing.
fucked up for sure.
I tried to argue with you about something, and I couldn't get any of the words out. And
Well,
you
what's
just
the
said,
point in arguing with me?
It's
I mean,
true.
you understand what the operating standard of this office is, right?
Yeah, we have a rule in the office. It's called YAR.
It's an acronym, right?
Yeah. Anytime I try and pull some bullshit on Ron or anything, he said, "Yeah, well, YAR." All right. You are always right, Ron, and I have to walk away sulkily.
You're absolutely right, Ron.
Yeah,
That's
you're
it.
absolutely
You're
right,
Ron.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how we try to run the place. That's how we try to run the place in general.
It's a good way to keep my
But
job.
yeah, you were sick. You were sick. You did work.
Oh, yeah.
You worked. You couldn't talk so you caught up on stuff. And, and then you're back. So it's a clear evidence that younger people recover quickly, because like if I got as sick as you were, I'd be off for 2 weeks. But
it's true.
When you're
a
old,
couple of days.
when you're old, you're frail, folks. It's as simple as that. You can't escape it.
Not Ron Butler.
Yeah, fuck Ron Butler. I mean,
I'd rather not.
No, I keep thinking that, people say, well, Ron, I wish you, it doesn't make sense that you say you're old. I mean, you're like 67, so you're not that old. I'm going to be 68 relatively soon.
This you got here.
But I can fully express this idea cogently. You feel old. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I mean, there's moments when you feel old. Okay?
Yeah.
And I think that's true of just about everybody. This every time you listen to the tech bros talking about living forever, like that's what happens when you become a rich tech bro.
Just kill me after a certain point. Just pull the plug.
But fuck, they want to do everything to live for so long because they're so rich.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, you feel it. Everybody feels it. But we still show up every day, keep on working. Now, there was one guy argued that we should start to number the episodes. Like we should start to declare the number of the. I don't think so.
at the beginning, or they dated.
But like every single. Yeah, there's people who scream about dating the YouTubes every day, or make sure that's important.
You can see when it's posted, guys.
And also about how declaring which episode number it is. Like, this is episode number 104. I mean, like,
what do you think?
Is it really that fucking important? I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean,
maybe.
Please. I mean,
I'm trying to show up with a different colored suit every time. That's how you know what episode it is.
Okay, well, that's important. You're right. That's very important.
Thank you. I think so too.
Or not actually important at all. Okay, we got the one thing about Trump. I got to say one thing about Trump is that it is an infinite source of humor.
Yeah,
like having Trump in this. But I said this before he got in.
Sad humor.
Sweet. Well, it's bad. It's terrible. It's terrifying to many people. It's terrifying to many people. It's upsetting to so many people. Mm-hmm. It's challenging, but at a certain point, it's just funny as fuck. Okay, like when he talks about. Somebody asked him about under whose authority will you do this? Some wild shit. Like, I don't know, taking over Canada or and he just leans in and he says, by the authority of the United States. You got to admit, that sounds pretty fucking good, right?
It's a good one-liner.
Completely false under all forms of international law, but still sounds fucking great, okay? Like, like I say, everything's funny. You know, like the every time he's having this whole series of world leaders show up, like the King of Jordan was there.
Yeah,
guy nearly had a stroke when
Sure.
when Trump said, "Yeah, he's going to take thousands of people." Like, oh fuck, no, I don't want to take thousands of people.
Yeah,
and
Egypt,
then Modi shows up, and they brought all these reporters from India when Modi showed up.
Yeah,
okay?
I heard this one.
And the reporters from India are saying, "My first question is." President Trump says you're the greatest person who ever lived to be ever elected, and you're so Trump says, "Hey, I like this reporter. Yeah, I'm starting to like this reporter's a great reporter."
On the next one, he just looked at him and said, "I have no idea what you're saying. I can't understand you at all."
It's just so funny. Like he's endlessly funny. I know people are getting mad out there who hear this or see this. They say,
Trump derangement.
No. He's got to be gone. I've got to be gone. And that funny thing when he said that I've heard the Iranians are trying to kill me. And if that happens, I've left instructions. They will be wiped from the face of the earth.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean,
it's like
it's a good disincentive. Yeah.
It's a strong disincentive,
yeah.
But still, I mean, like can you imagine Obama saying that? Like,
God, no.
Like, I mean, or like,
guy wore a brown suit once, and they still talk about it.
They got after him for a brown suit for God's sakes.
God.
I mean, like, but anyway, I just have to say, as much as Trump is causing so much heartache in Canada, and it's true, he just is. Come on, folks, he just is. Even those, I know there's a bunch of Canadians who love Trump. I know there's some Canadians who want to be the 51st state. I do not want it at all. I just put that out there.
Yeah, no.
I have to sort of respect people's opinions a little bit. Like, they are Canadians, and, you sort of want to say, well, what does that make you if you don't want to be part of Canada anymore? I mean, your first instinct just say you should leave. Okay. But no, I love my country. But I think, in some cases, these people have really specific perspectives, but I still think we need our country. We need our country to be Canada, and I'm never going to change my mind about that.
Yeah.
So I know that he creates a lot of upset and concern, and like if I was a steel worker or a steel worker in Hamilton or an aluminum worker in Quebec, I mean, like literally I couldn't sleep at night.
Well, I'm from the Durham area where there's a lot of auto manufacturing plants. I'm very worried about my area. Yeah.
Hell, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like even a 10% tariff is like hugely problematic.
Mm-hmm.
So what we reflect on is the reason where this circles back to mortgages is that mortgage rates are a function of economic variables. Mm-hmm. Like we've talked about this 1,000 times. Variable rates are based on Bank of Canada decisions, which are definitely influenced by economic changes. Bond yields of Canada government bonds, 5-year, 3-year, etc. They drive all the fixed rates. Mm-hmm. And what Trump does is create incredible
chaos,
volatility.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was talking to a guy, like maybe about 10 days ago, and we were reflecting on the fact that the rates had fallen. They were plunging. Like bond yields were plunging. They were at over I think they were approaching like
great.
18-month lows. Or rates were falling, and then I'm telling him, this should be a good rate. We should be able to achieve this rate. And then literally the next day, bond yields started going back up.
Yeah.
Okay. And they retraced like 20 basis points, and rates retraced about 15, 20 basis points.
It's right when I was sick. I'm not going to compare anything there, but maybe I shouldn't be sick anymore.
I don't think you influence the world's economic situation, but I mean, maybe you do. I don't know. But, it's very, very volatile.
Yeah.
And another thing something that happened this week is the U.S. Fed, they came out with a lot of hawkish reports, and they don't, they're talking, there's actual talk in the United States about no further Fed rate cut for a whole year.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to get through it yet, but I believe that. What are they all at? They're at like 6% or something like that.
Well, their mortgage rates are like 6.99.
Yeah.
And that's very much influenced by the Fed's position on 10-year, their own what we would call it their Bank of Canada rate, their version of it. So no change there. And here's the crazy contrast is that Trump very much talks about lower mortgage rates, lower interest rates for Americans, which is the opposite of where it's going because The one thing that full-fledged trade wars do is that's inflationary.
Yeah.
Just like
Eventually.
not immediately, but
yeah.
eventually,
I mean, I think in Canada, you're the better expert on this than I am, but what I suspect would probably happen is we'd see low rates for a time, similar to what happened in COVID, and then eventually the inflation would catch up. I think the Canadian economy would probably do everything it could to protect itself with the lower rates for as long as they could. Inflation be damned, and then eventually they would have to deal with it. But I don't know.
You always have to deal with it eventually. Yeah. Now, a fascinating thing about something that Trump started talking about just literally, I think Thursday, was, hey, we're gonna work up tariffs for everywhere. We're gonna have tariffs on every country, everything, we're gonna do everything, everybody.
Well, they've already got 10% on China. They kept that, and then I know. Well, that's kind of good for us at least, because now we have we have Europe that's willing to trade more with Canada. Obviously, we have the G7, which I think we have free trade agreements with every country in the G7. So we can lean on that a little bit more. So that's good for us a little bit, at least, if he's saying tariffs on everyone. That'll help in the long run, but it takes, I think, like we talked about this last time, it'll take time. It takes time to build all those things. So.
And the ability for Canada to unlock its trade relationships with the United States takes years.
Yeah,
and maybe end up being completely unsuccessful too.
Oh, yeah.
We don't. It's not. If you can't unlock that automotive relationship. No. It's too interconnected.
Yeah, it's like dozens of times going back and forth from every part start to finish. Where do you put the tariff? Yeah.
Yeah. So we can expect this to continue with one exception. If the tariffs really do happen, because so far absolutely nothing that's been announced has actually happened except for China. So for Canada and Mexico, nothing has happened so far. I mean, big, all kinds of guarantee. Yeah, April. Now it was started at March 18th, and it went to April 1st, and definitely going to be huge tariffs on steel and aluminum. And our aluminum is much. They could never. It would take 5 years in the U.S. To catch up to Canadian aluminum, because we have this massive Quebec hydroelectric stuff that creates very low. Aluminum is just smelting, so smelting is just electricity.
I'd love to hear what some Quebecers think about this 51st state thing. I think they'd have some opinions about that after not even wanting to be part of Canada.
I can absolutely assure you how they feel about the aluminum. They are freaked the fuck out. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, those are good jobs. It would create probably 40,000 job losses in 6 weeks. Okay, and it's crazy because Quebec has this magnificent hydroelectric infrastructure they've created over the course of 50 years. Okay, super low electricity costs.
Yeah,
which is what you need to make aluminum. Okay, you can get the ore from anywhere. The ore is the least worrisome thing you have to think about. It's this incredibly expensive, all electrical. So electrical power has to create aluminum. Okay, and they have the lowest, cleanest electricity priced in North America.
Is that mostly staying in Canada, or are they selling that to us as well? Or
75% goes to US.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's like every time a guy in the US opens a can of Coors, Bud Light, that's Canadian aluminum. It's as simple as that. So because of this incredible advantage on electricity rates, because as much as we always pay way too fucking much for everything we use in Canada. Yeah, our gas prices are too high. If you're at the pump, our gas prices are too high. Our fucking electricity rates in Ontario are fucking nuts because when you read the bill, there's 17 items being tacked onto it. Yeah, the natural gas is super expensive here. I mean, it's all expensive as fuck because of all the government and environmental and climate costs that have been added and all the crazy shit they've added. But for Quebec's aluminum industry, they have maintained this super low cost of electricity. From the great thing about hydro is it never goes away. It's minimum maintenance. And once you build it, you're done. You have to maintain it a bit. The generators don't run themselves, but it's not like you don't have to drill for it. Like nuclear reactors, eventually you got to replace them. I mean, nuclear reactor runs for about 60 years now. Okay. But hydro's eternal. And once you built the dam, that's it. You just keep getting the electricity. And they haven't developed many new sources of electricity in the United States. Certainly nothing like hydro. So, or not, or no nuke. They haven't built a nuke in the United States for about 50 years. They haven't built any new. Yeah, since 3 Mile Island. Since 3 Mile Island, they haven't built any new nuclear powered plants in the United States. So their grid.
Oh, power plants. I thought you were talking about weapons for a second there. I was like, that doesn't sound realistic.
No, they actually haven't built any more nuclear weapons because they actually reduced nuclear weapons during Reagan's term. Reagan, they reduced the number of nuclear weapons in the world during these treaties.
Yeah, they took them from Ukraine. See what happened.
So the crazy thing is that this aluminum thing in particular instantly increases prices all across the United States.
Yeah.
Will it happen? Here's what I can say. That this is the most rational thing I can say. If the tariffs really and truly do happen, and they are at the levels that are being discussed, and they stay for months and months, it's a fuck show.
Yeah.
It's incredibly bad for Canada.
What do you think about all the premiers' meetings in the last week with low-level agencies in Washington?
Just a stunt.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking stunt.
I think they got to meet with the janitor at the White House today.
Yeah, apparently there were 3 people who work in the mailroom who they spoke with.
Yeah. The chef?
No, not the chef. Chef was busy.
Oh, okay.
And as soon as they left this meeting, they left the meeting and they said that they felt that, the language about the 51st state was overstated. And then the people they met with immediately announced back 5 minutes later, no, you're wrong. Yeah. You're wrong. We support everything that comes out of Trump's mouth here. Okay. So how did that meeting go? That didn't work out so well.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's all a stunts. We do a lot of stunts in Canada. Canada is a country that loves political theater.
I'll give Doug Ford this. It is a lot of free publicity in a campaign when you are in the US and you are campaigning for anti-tariff and you are in the middle of an election. It's money that doesn't have to come from his party's coffers to be publicized across all of Ontario. I think that's pretty smart of their comms team or whoever's in charge there. Not that I'm endorsing another party or another, but
the 2 guys who run Ford's campaign. One of this guy's name is Corey Tonique, and the other name is Nick Corvallis.
Okay.
Those 2 guys are so fucking smart. Okay. They are so good at their jobs. Barring, did you hear the old Sparky thing? I can't do that one. It takes too long to go through, but
it's just another inappropriate joke.
Yeah.
We can't put on the
so
podcast.
Crazy. But anyway, probably can't do that. But anyway, this campaign is going so well for Ford.
It's insane. Yeah.
That he could have too many members at the end of this. He's just literally obliterating the other parties.
I mean, there's only one poll that matters. We'll find out on election day. We'll see what happens. But
nope, he is going to win. Unless he does something completely crazy. Unless
I don't think you're crazy.
Unless he's in the middle of the debate on Monday. I don't know. The debates we tape on Friday. The debate is Monday.
No one watches debates.
If he takes his clothes off in the debate, it's a chance that they could go against him. Okay, if he just starts stripping in the middle of the debate, right down to his socks. I mean, then
swallows another bee just for fun.
I don't know. Then starts eating bees randomly. I mean, that's about the only thing that could derail him. Otherwise, in 2 weeks, he wins. That's it. So, probably, but that's okay. Well, because he doesn't have Doug Ford does not have, there's a lot of things he could do to affect housing, but let's face it, the federal government stuff is and the Bank of Canada stuff is what's key. So let's finish up on where we are on rates. One thing because you talk to people about rates every day.
Sure do.
And one thing we have noticed is that the discounts on prime. So a variable rate the design of a variable rate is, here's the Bank of Canada prime. And then we add 2.2%, which is 3%. Then we add 2.2 to get to commercial prime. That's what the prime rate every bank in Canada uses. Okay. Yep. Every single one. Okay. 5.2. And then variable is a discount from prime. So maybe the best discount in the history of the world is prime less 1.1 something, or just prime less 1.1. And that would be high ratio CBC.
Today or in previous times?
Right now, in previous time, I can remember when it was 1.45.
There you go.
It was prime less 1.45%, but that's going back a number of years.
Yeah.
That's how you end up with 0.99 variable rates. Okay?
I remember giving clients. I remember offering a client one time it was 2021 or something. It was like a 1.05% fixed for 5 years, something stupid.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, I'm going to take the variable because it's 0.95." And I was like, "That's not going to stay there forever, though." He said, "I'll take the risk."
Yeah, he took the risk. So, but bottom line is this: I mean, these discounts. So, it was traditionally like you just described. It could go super low.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it's been sort of, the discount has been disappearing slowly.
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, I think it's still fair to say we can get, for a CMHC mortgage, we can grab like 1.05,
1.05, maybe even 1.1 in some cases.
1.1, but like there's no more than 1.15, which is a rate that's what's a great rate for CMHC? That would be like
anything 4.94, 4.9, or sorry, 3.94, 3.99 right now.
No, not fixed. Like,
oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
Variable. What's a great variable CMHC rate right now?
Maybe 4.1 if it's prime minus 1.1.
Okay, so if the Bank of Canada
purchase CMHC,
right?
Yeah.
So if the Bank of Canada, purchase, small down payments, huge insurance premium, like, it's rare, folks. That's about 8% in Ontario. It's about 6% of all mortgages, so it's low.
Yeah.
In Alberta, it's more. It's probably like 25% of all mortgages. But here, like but when that goes down, if that goes down 0.5% in the coming months, then you're at 3.6,
and it's very likely to.
But those on the conventional side, so that's just an average, not CMHC insured, just a normal mortgage, refinance, purchase over $1 million. That's discount has gone down, right? What's about primeless 7.5, primeless 8 today?
They're getting, so as of us filming this, they are getting more and more aggressive. I just heard that even an $800,000 mortgage, one of our agents was having trouble getting prime minus 0.7.
Okay, that's not aggressive. That's like regressive.
Regressive. Yeah.
So they're getting
right.
there is so the discounts are fading. They're
Fast,
not as aggressive as they were before. Okay.
I mean, you get mad at me for telling people, hey, typically in and around the Bank of Canada announcements, when they drop, the banks go lower. Because it's not always true, but it has been true the last couple of months.
Although I should see, it's totally unrelated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So what is happening, though, is in times of volatility, such as we have today, when banks are not sure what the fuck's going to happen next, there is a high tendency to keep pulling back on those discounts, and the discounts aren't.
And they can still show, look, the rate went down, right? Look,
your net cost went down.
Oh yeah. Bank of Canada dropped 25%. We're just going to cut the discount maybe 10, right? You're going to cut the off prime 10, so you're still going down by 15, something like that. But
it is fair to say that banks are competitive.
Oh yeah,
I mean, they are competitive. I mean, we've talked about this in the podcast several times in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
I've never seen banks this competitive on all rate terms, on holding on to their own renewal book. I mean, it's just.
Can I tell you something crazy that just happened? We just got, after fighting quite a bit, because this client already had an approved offer with another bank, we just got a rental refinance at 4.14.
Wow, that is
which is
very low
hard
rate,
to get for owner occupied, right? It's insane how competitive the banks are being with. I do not want to lose this client, and we got it for them.
So when you're talking to clients, I mean, again, because you're taking dozens and dozens of calls a day, and is it fair to say that talking to companies like ours, because we're not the only ones who discount rates, there's others, talking to companies like ours, it is great ammunition for the customer who's got a renewal with their own bank to get a lower rate, to get a better deal.
Yeah. I think maybe 20% of the time when I get a phone call, they have a good rate out the gate. Maybe. The other 80% of the time, either we will be able to secure them a lower rate through one of the lenders that we're working with, or their bank will then use our offer to use as ammunition, say, okay, fine, we'll go lower then. And it's normally a back and forth. Again, as I've always said, we're still able to win more than we lose, which is obviously how we stay in business. But everyone is being very aggressive. Yeah.
But the other key is you cannot accept that offer, because you're accurately saying that 80% of the time that's not their best offer.
No,
not even close.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that emphasize. And by the way, let's want to let everybody know, we're not upset if your bank matches and you stay. I mean, this is just the nature of our business, and we accept it.
Yeah. We're in business to save people money.
And look, we, as you rightly pointed out, we get our fair share, and that's fine. But like, honest to God, if a bank is going to say, okay, Butler's offering that, done, we match, and here, just sign here and it's over with. You got nothing else to do. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, like, there's no. Sometimes people say to me, well, other agent. By the way, other mortgage brokers say this to me all the time. Ron, you're crazy. I mean, we are the reason they got the lower rate.
Yeah.
So we should get the business, or they're not loyal. The customer's making a mistake.
By the way, people have more colorful things to say about you. There's
lots of colorful shit to say about me. Other mortgage brokers have lots of colorful shit to say about me all the time. But the reality is, those brokers who feel that because they gave them a better rate option, that they must stick with them. And if the bank matches, well, you are being disloyal by not staying with the person who got you the ammunition to get the lower rate.
I mean, I get that it can be heartbreaking. I get that for...
Nah, fuck them. Fuck them all. Well, sure. Fuck all those other brokers.
I mean, obviously we're in the business of beating everyone else. That's what we do. But like, if you're a smaller broker and, you're relying on just a few deals a year, and it doesn't go through because of that, obviously it's heartbreaking. But
fuck them. Let their hearts break. Let their hearts break. The only person that I've never gone in for that shit about this customer loyalty bullshit. I know. Like, the loyalty is based on execution.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So sometimes people say, oh, Ron, no, you didn't get me the best rate. My lender beat you by 5 basis points, so you are not the best.
Okay.
And my response is always, well, asshole, if you didn't get the information from me, they wouldn't have given it. It's obviously a lower rate than their first offer. So we can both establish that. Yes, but you weren't the best. You're not always the best. For the love of Christ, it's a big country. There's lots of banks. There's lots of lenders. I'm going to be better than most a lot, okay? But not every time. And if you think that I've somehow betrayed you by not having the lowest rate in the country of Canada at every moment of the day for every situation, that means you're fucking stupid. Okay?
It also changes every week. It changes every single week. Like when we submit a deal, by the time we get it back, a lot of the time, it can be different. And there's nothing we can do about it. It's the bank's discretion.
Nothing.
Someone said, oh, you told me this rate. And I'm like, yes, I did. Because at the time of submission, it was that. Now it's not. I can ask.
No, not even the time of submission. At the time I spoke to you, you hadn't completed an application yet.
Yeah, I didn't get your documents.
I didn't even get your application yet.
You taking 5 days to get your docs is my fucking fault.
You never gave me, you didn't even give me a pay stub for 6 days, okay? I mean, look, by the way, we're not mad at clients.
No. Sometimes,
if we're honest, there's no such, in reality, there is no such thing as the customer is always right.
No.
I mean, sometimes the customer just doesn't understand the process.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's up to you to teach the process, Ron. No. Like, there is just a process, and we're not going to remind people at like twice or 3 times a day. Don't have your pay stub yet. Don't have your pay stub yet. Don't have your pay stub yet.
I'm not your parent.
We got to take a certain amount. People have to take a certain amount of responsibility.
I treat people very, 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 very well as the default. And I think I surprise people sometimes when I come back with just as much or more direct fury or attitude when they start giving it to me. Ron has to actually tell me to be nicer sometimes, believe it or not.
Yeah, because what do we say? There's only a couple people in this office.
There's only 2 people in the office allowed to be
who could be. See you next Tuesday. Okay, yeah. There's only a couple and not many. But look. Here's the truth of it. In any business, there's always going to be, if you're dealing with the customers who are consumers.
Yeah,
we don't deal business to business. We deal with people who, in many cases, it's their first mortgage. Or they only do a mortgage every 6 or 7 years or 5 years or 4 years. They're not going to maintain that expertise in their heads. And by the way, the mortgage industry changes. We talk about every single day in our office, we talk about how much more infinitely complex it is than it was. It's still possible to discern the best rate. Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah.
But the complexity of the various programs the lenders offer, cashbacks, this, that, it's a lot. It wasn't not like this 15 years ago in any way. But we still understand the customer just wants a good deal, and we're happy to provide that. We can't provide it every single time, without end. Okay, it's impossible. but we will do our best every single time to deliver the lowest possible rate. We won't always be successful, but that's our goal. And folks, this is the most volatile rate environment I've seen in 15 years. There's just, maybe 2008 came close, but this is just way out there. Now, what are the housing trends? I mean, when you talk to people, what are the, other than the renewal stuff that we covered, you're talking to people every day.
Yep.
Tell me about the purchasers. Are they mainly first-time buyers, or they're move-up buyers, or who are the purchasers?
It depends province to province. So, like in Alberta, you're still seeing lots of even single people on their own who are able to buy a decent condo or a small house on their own. The prices are less in Alberta, right? In Ontario and British Columbia, obviously, we're not seeing a lot of condo purchases. The people who are buying condos, I have a couple, are people generally who kids have moved out of the house, they're downsizing, and they want something smaller and easier to manage, and they don't care. They're going to be there until, RIP, and they don't care if the value goes down for a bit. Doesn't bother them. There are very few people who are buying.
But that's a small number.
Yeah. I think I'm seeing a lot of people who are dual applicant, prime, great income, both of them, 6 figures, in both Ontario and BC. There's only a couple. There's only a couple I have found purchases for between 500,000 and $1 million, and they're sort of all kind of spread out on the edges of the GTA. And there's a couple of them. They're obviously up. Sales are obviously up from 6 feet below the ground, which is where they have been for a while.
Yeah, they've grabbed themselves off 30-year lows.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The mortgages that I see coming in, the agreement of purchases, the agreements of purchase and sale that I'm seeing are still generally below asking or at asking, more or less. I had one client, for example, who lost out on a house, not because their bid was bad, but because the seller agreed to someone who went no condition of financing, which I don't recommend. You should always get at least 5 days, I think. And to me, that says more about the fact that seller was desperate to sell. They probably bought in 2021, couldn't afford it. It was a mid-sized house. It was decent, $700,000-800,000, something like that. And
that's not in Toronto.
No. Well on the outskirts.
Yeah.
They lost out on the offer only because the other person did no condition of financing, which again, I think is because that seller was desperate to sell. I don't think that's reflective of the market generally, but I'm not a realtor. I don't see, the day-to-day stuff, but from a mortgage side, I'm seeing generally purchases still come in, below asking slightly.
Yeah. I mean, we've certainly, and let's face it, it's just do you talk to anybody who is, except for those people trapped by pre-construction contracts they have to buy. If you bought a pre-con condo, dog crate condo 6 years ago, and it's time to close, you're looking for a mortgage. But you don't see anybody who is an investor, a real estate investor who's buying brand new investment properties today. Is that very rare? Like extremely rare?
I wouldn't say extremely rare. Like it's still coming. I'm still having to do a couple of, hey, this is my 3rd rental. Hey, this is my 4th rental.
But aren't those people who actually bought those before?
Yeah. It's typically people.
They're not somebody who's saying, I need to be pre-approved to buy a rental.
No.
You've never talked to anybody who says, you talk to pre-approvals every day.
No,
but not about rentals.
Never had a pre-approval for, I want a 3rd or 4th rental. It's always, I've agreed to buy this for XYZ reason. I need to close.
Yeah.
I had one person yesterday, and again, it's a sad situation. He bought for 1.8 a couple years ago. Current mortgages are at 1.4. Had the house appraised, came in 1.3. Mortgages are worth more than what the house is worth right now.
We call it underwater in the business. Yeah.
So he's just going to have to stay for a while until the market corrects or pay it down.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's fair. But there are more pre-approvals coming in than in past.
And you know what? I'm tempted sometimes as an agent to push the pre-approvals a little bit on the side and focus on the deals that are coming in hot and fast. The pre-approvals are funding. Like I'm giving someone a pre-approval and within a month they're coming back to me.
Would that be a first-time home buyer?
A lot of them. Yeah, a lot of them.
And a bunch of them are in Alberta, obviously.
There's a bunch in Alberta. Yeah, there's a bunch in Alberta. There's a few, again, there's with parents' help, anything is possible,
So you're seeing more in Ontario with parents' help to get that first-time home
or
buyer.
they just are both 6-figure income eurners.
Substantial income earners.
And you know what? They're just like, hey, we've been renting forever, but we make $250. Why don't we just buy?
You know what I think this points out is for the viewers and listeners, I think what this points out is there is always in real estate a desire for some people to own at a certain period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, there just is like when part of the trends in social media that I see is people saying, nobody should buy. No, stop buying. The market's going to crash. Don't buy. Okay.
Said the person who doesn't own a home and wants to get in,
which is okay too.
Fair enough.
Which is fine.
Fair enough.
There's some people who, let's face it, the people who bought, who made, who tripled up on bidding in 2022 in March or February, whatever. Yeah, like that. Their result is not fantastic today. Okay, so it's not always the best time to buy.
Yeah,
but what I always like to point out to people who say, well, the market's going to crash, so don't buy anything, is that there's just compelling needs to buy. I mean, marriages break down. Triplets get born. I mean, there's just reasons. There's just a lot of reasons. Now, one of the things that we are seeing in a really consistent way is that rents are down, which is the other thing that contributes to this total lack of interest for somebody who thinks, well, I think this is a good time to become a landlord. Literally, unless you've got a previous purchase, nobody thinks it's a good time to become a landlord in Ontario.
No.
Like, absolutely nobody.
Yeah.
Why are rents falling? Really easy, because there's been a major change in immigration.
Less people.
Like we see it in our own business. Smart economists, smart analysts also check it in other ways. Sometimes the immigration department is running at who the hell knows, accuracy, lack of accuracy, running 3 months behind, whatever the truth is. You know what's accurate? Falling new cell phone subscriptions is accurate. So
Really?
when 50,000 people, yeah, sure.
Makes sense.
But Ron, they could have just switched between Bell and Rogers.
No.
No. When everybody's down, when TELUS is down, when Rogers is down, when Bell is down, when subscriptions, there's more subscriptions being canceled than new subscriptions. What's that tell you? Okay, that tells you people are going home.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Because I don't care who you are, when you get here, you want a cell phone. Like, it's just that simple.
You need one.
And new cell phone subscriptions were up steadily for years. Now they're falling, which that tells me it's just so simple.
So I should renegotiate, is what you're telling me, because I'm still paying too much.
Keep everybody. Look, renegotiate your mortgage. Renegotiate your mortgage.
Back on topic.
Renegotiate everything to do with cellular, with internet, renegotiate the shit out of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
I didn't mean to bring us back on topic.
And if your lease is up, start looking for cheaper rent because it's available.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of this points to problems in that area, condo. So what's going on? Yes, sales, real estate purchases are up slightly, still probably 10-year lows. Okay. This is no resemblance to a healthy real estate market. Listings are through the roof. So that tells you people want to unload homes.
Well, a lot of that is condos, though. A lot of that is condos.
But there are still in the GTA, single family listings are up.
Yep.
Which is a little unusual for January, February. That's a little odd. Okay. So it tells us that there are people want to sell some houses.
Yeah.
And people really, really, really want to sell dog crate condos. Like, oh my God, and more coming. So what do we see in other parts of Canada? Like, as you alluded to, Alberta seems pretty healthy.
Yeah.
There's some purchases going on.
Yep.
Although
I should say the major areas of Alberta.
Yeah, but a guy did phone me about that. I got a phone call from somebody who says, Ron, if you really want to know the truth, Calgary may be in the opening salvos of condo crazy town.
I think so.
Because he said, look, the stuff that's been sold, it was a lot of Toronto investors bought. A lot of people from Vancouver and Toronto came and bought the same situation, high-rise condos, pre-construction prices, look pretty good. They're all underway now.
Yeah.
And he said to me, Ron, you've been a realtor in Calgary for a long time. I'm not so sure people really want expensive condos.
Well, because
when housing's cheap.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
When houses, better price.
There was like a year there where you couldn't turn on the radio without getting a move to Alberta. It's great ad. And so I thought people genuinely were just selling and downsizing or moving to Alberta. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's lots of investors too that probably did.
This guy suggested to me that, Ron, in 2 years when all these condos, because they started them in 2021, 2022, in 2 or 3 years when these condos are ready to be filled up, like I'm not 1,000% sure it's not going to be perfect. It may not be perfect, in fact. Okay.
Interesting. Good to watch for.
Out in BC, I gotta say this about what's going on in British Columbia today.
You can get a shack for 1.8 million.
It is still, prices are still high. They're not a lot of, it's not a lot of action. There's a bit more. Sure, sales are slightly up, but the reality is that there's no price movement per se. They have they don't have as bad a condo problem as we have in 416 in Toronto. Not as bad, but they have some elements of it and again, rents are going down, straight down in Vancouver as well for condos.
Yep.
And an interesting thing is the Premier of British Columbia, David Eby, is like 9 feet tall or something.
Good guy. I've met him loads of times.
Huge guy, massively tall guy.
Yeah.
The sentiment is turning against him.
Yeah.
Out in BC.
As it always does eventually. The NDP have been in power for a while, right? So eventually it always turns.
He was also a guy who had intelligent housing ideas. He was one of the first guys to come out strongly against Airbnb.
Yeah.
Because it was, it sucks up too much long-term rental.
Yeah, it does.
He was a guy who was strongly against foreign buyers because there's nobody been more, no place in Canada has been more affected by foreign money than Vancouver in terms of real estate.
Yeah.
So it had a lot of good ideas, but unfortunately they also came with a bunch of other NDP ideas, like we're going to send you all a check for $1,000 for your groceries, and of course that's just vanished now because the economy's gone to
stick to the 200 like Ontario.
Yeah, their economy's gone to rat. Yeah, $1,000. He was 5 times more, for Christ's sakes. Okay, and then he doubled the salaries of himself and his MPs. Like he doubled the salaries of the legislature. 50%. It was a 50% increase.
Yeah, people
were up in arms about that. And anyway, his popularity is like falling off a cliff.
I haven't lived in BC since 2020, give or take. So it's harder for me to pay attention.
Sort of too bad because like he had a lot of smart housing policies, but
he's a very smart man. He's a very smart man, and he's got good character. So there was one time I was working at a cidery in British Columbia, and a cidery. We made cider, like alcoholic cider.
Guys were drunk all day.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. Yeah,
it's fantastic. As just outside of Whistler, essentially Squamish. And he and his family found us somehow because it's very, niche hole in the wall. And they walked in, and I had known him from my days in politics a little bit as well, and said hi. And I tried to give him a free drink. I said, "It's good to see you. Here you go. Have a free drink." No need to pay. I turned around to go put the glass away, and he had left money on the table. He just refused. He would not take anything for free. And I thought that said something about his character. So.
Or not wanting to get caught taking free booze.
There you go. That too.
There's also that. I mean, no. Look, I'm not going to backtrack. I over the years, I've been supportive of the NDP governments in British Columbia's ideas about housing.
Well, personally,
a bunch of the other ideas suck shit.
Yeah,
okay,
but policy is its own beast altogether.
But definitely, they were the first to recognize a lot of bad trends in housing and try to correct them. But unfortunately, events caught up with them. And events aren't going well for housing in a lot of places. And people are just generally kind of disgruntled, that's for sure.
Well, when the BC Liberals were in power, BC had the strongest economy. Yes, it was propped up a lot by foreign money.
Hugely! Hugely! Do you know what I call Christy Clark? Do you know what I call Christy Clark?
I know what you call her.
I call her the Manchurian candidate.
There you go.
Okay?
I know.
Like she's the honorable member from Beijing, Christy Clark, okay?
I saw
Jesus Christ. Like, nobody ever liked Chinese money like Christy Clark liked Chinese money. Holy
It was
moly.
good for the economy. It was bad for housing, but it's good for the economy, yeah.
And once the money goes away... When the money goes away,
it's true.
He just it's just not good. Okay, so I think we're headed for our favorite part of the program right now.
What would you do if I forgot the line again?
You'd would not be pleased. No.
What the actual fuck?
What the actual fuck? You know what? We got to wrap our heads around this because I see there's a certain amount of controversy in social media, certain amount of controversy amongst people because we're in a big election cycle now. Election in Ontario. There's going to be another election in Canada soon. The Liberal leadership thing, which Carney's a shoe-in for, is already driving people crazy. So here's what I got to say. We had a good run. We had a good run in Canada. we spent 10 years thinking about climate, thinking about carbon, thinking about saving the world, thinking that Greta Thunberg was a smart person. I mean, not everybody thought that, but a lot of people thought that. But here's what's happened. The shit has hit the fan, okay? And the only thing that we can think about in Canada for the next few years are jobs in the economy.
Yep.
We got to put all the, there's all kinds of, all kinds of people who listen to the podcast and watch the podcast are clutching their pearls and having the vapors and, they're all upset. Oh, Ron, you're a dirty fucking conservative. You brought politics into this. Okay, folks, listen to me. If you don't think things are going to get worse, you're not thinking straight.
Yeah.
Okay, things are going to get worse. I mean, there's nothing about Trump's ideas about tariffs and trade that support Canada. They're all bad for Canada. Mm-hmm. And sure, he likes to negotiate and likes to say crazy shit and then retract. But something tells me something's going to happen there. And none of it will be good. And we were kind of headed into the shitter in Ontario anyway. Okay, because for a bunch, we've just been so dependent on real estate in Ontario and
all of Canada,
but really bad in Ontario and British Columbia. And it's just kind of turned. The cycle's turned. And people, I mean this, no matter how many people I piss off when I say it, we just got to fucking think about jobs in the economy. We got to quit. We just have to push the fucking pause button on everything else, okay? Like, I'm dead serious. We can't care about carbon capture when the food banks have the biggest lineups in the history of history.
It's insane.
We can't do it. I know everybody. Ron, you're wrong. The planet's on fire. Okay, maybe, but look.
Ideally, we can do both, but yes.
But right
there
now,
needs to be a focus.
Right now, the total focus needs to be on economy, jobs, and we're just going to have to put the other aside for a while. And anybody who one word comes out of their mouth about, no, we have to maintain our position on that. The answer is no. Okay. The answer is no. We have to have government has to have fewer people in it because the taxes are too high. And we need to focus on just doing right by improving our economy, improving productivity. Like, productivity in this country is so bad. And remember, productivity is not about everybody working harder. Productivity is about investment in new things and investment in improvements. And investment is fucking off from Canada.
Yeah.
Partially, not all of that's Canada's fault. That's also, if you, for instance, Barrick Gold, who is one of the biggest gold miners in the world, has always been headquartered in Toronto, has talked about, maybe we better go to the States because it's a better investment. There's more, Canada's going to be in a rough investment climate. So that's an entire 300 or 400 people are going to fuck off out of Canada and go down to New York or wherever they end up.
What do you think, saving grace, what do you think about our dollar being worth less and that helping it a little bit?
Well, our dollar's actually up. We went over 70 cents this morning.
Because I thought if our dollar goes down, that might help reinvest because it's cheaper here.
No, because what investment is about is optimism of success. Okay, is low corporate taxes, is yes, I think Canada's on the cusp of a boom, so I want to throw my money in there. Okay, so if you don't think any of those things as international, I know you're going to hear all kinds of blather from politicians about, well, we could just trade with ourselves. Okay, well, no. So my what the actual fuck for today, and it's going to be lots of times I'm going to be repeating this, is only one job from here on out for government. Only one job. Improve the economy, maintain jobs, attract investment to Canada, and all the other stuff we got to set aside for today. We'll come back someday. We'll come back to Greta Thunberg and daisies and unicorns.
I don't think the two are mutually exclusive.
They're pretty fucking exclusive, okay?
I think there are lots of ways to invest in the economy, invest in our resources, and hopefully not burn ourselves. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Yar!
Hey, folks, everybody in the food bank does not give one fuck about climate change. Every single one of them.
No, and absolutely.
Way too many people in the food bank. All right. See you next week.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.